Hey you guys, Mira here, back again for another video. I'm just gonna apologize now for the background and the cat. I'm in the middle of kind of reorganizing my house and I will have a dedicated filming area soon, but for now I needed to film this video. So I just stuck my phone in front of my bed and I can't keep this one out of the bedroom without him crying at the door. So this is what we're working with. I apologize. With that being said, I'm just gonna launch into the video for once. Shocking, I know. Okay, so this video was actually voted on by you guys in the Facebook group, which I thought was really fun. There's been a lot of really hyped up skincare devices and tools, as well as just some new releases being discussed quite a bit, and you guys wanted to know my thoughts on them, if I thought they were worth your time and money, if I thought they were evidence-based. So that's what we're going to be covering in this video. I'm going to be using your suggestions from the thread in the group. I do want to kind of give credit to Samantha here on YouTube. She does the Will I Buy It series. She does more makeup, but I can't even think of this kind of video topic without thinking of her. So I wanted to be sure to give her credit. She is really sweet and I followed her for a long time. So I will stick her channel in the description box. Okay, I do feel like I have to add one disclaimer here, you guys. I may talk about a device that you already own and love, and that is totally okay. I'm going to be looking at the price point, the evidence behind it, the technology, comparing to other devices on the market. This video is to help you guys make informed purchasing decisions. It doesn't mean that these devices are bad, and you know, for some people who have the budget and who enjoy devices, they might like to have a wide array of devices, right? So it's not about right or wrong or telling you guys what or what not to buy. I'm just giving you the information. And same thing goes for any influencer, kind of maybe who recommends these devices or tools. I'm not attacking them. They are allowed their opinion. Again, this is my estimate of these tools and devices based on the research, etc. Okay, so just know that there is space for many opinions and experiences. My only goal here is to kind of help you guys make informed purchasing decisions and hopefully save you some money. So it's not to bash anyone, so please don't take it personal. So just, that's the only disclaimer, but I did feel like it was important because I don't want you guys to be in the comments feeling like you wasted your money. You know, if you go off of your skin and whether you like something and enjoy it, right? Okay, I'm just gonna get the Droplette out of the way here because it's a little bit, I think it's gonna be a little bit controversial and I do have some thoughts here. So back in November-ish, I stumbled across the Droplette on social media. No one was talking about it yet. I even sent it to a few friends like, oh, check this out. This is interesting technology. You know, I love skincare. I love devices and tools. So even if I don't think the research isn't there, that doesn't mean the technology might not still interest me, right? So I ended up not purchasing it though, just because it's just one of those kind of expensive tools where that's unproven. I felt at the time that it would be something that maybe a larger influencer could kind of test out for fun, but it wasn't kind of for me and my content. I will say too that I commented on their Instagram at the time and spoke to them briefly because they basically implied in their post that the sole issue with topical collagen was its molecular weight, and basically that you know, we lose collagen in our skin as we get older, and that this device would help restore the collagen in your skin. And this is a bunch of baloney. The reason for that is that even if we could get collagen into the skin and into the dermis, you know, where we want it, that does not mean that that collagen is going to magically integrate with our existing collagen. That's just not how things work. The answer always to kind of stimulate the formation of new collagen in our skin, because you can't just put collagen in, you know, it's not going to magically become part of our dermal matrix. So I just felt like that was misleading, and I kind of commented to that effect, and they acknowledged that I was correct. However, they came back and basically said, you know, you're right, that's not the case, but you know, they used to use collagen as a filler, and that's what our device does. Basically, they're saying that this device is like filler, which is also super misleading. So I didn't really walk away from that experience feeling like the Droplette brand made claims based on evidence or kind of really realistic claims about their device in general. Okay, which brings us to present day, and you know, my opinion has not changed, but I will explain why. So I'm just gonna kind of break it down into my issues with the Droplette device. My issue number one with the Droplette is that they use their education, you know, they're from MIT, the groundbreaking technology behind this device to sell you on their credibility and therefore the credibility of their device. And I'm not questioning, their education, but at the end of the day, this is a marketing tactic, plain and simple. This is not a substitute for research. And I think that sometimes as a consumer, we can get a little bit confused by stuff like this. And it's just important to remember that it is a marketing tactic. My issue number 2 is this idea that making an ingredient smaller is inherently better. This is just not the case. There are plenty of ingredients that, despite their larger molecular size, penetrate the skin just fine due to their solubility. Just look at THD. Retinol is a fairly small molecule, but because of its solubility, it penetrates the skin really well regardless. And then there are ingredients that are not supposed to penetrate deeply. They are designed to work on the surface, and that is where they are helpful. It's important to kind of not buy into this hype that making something smaller is better. There should be, the specific ingredient involved should benefit from being smaller. It should work better deeper in the skin, and it should need help getting into the skin. If there was a growth factor capsule or something like that, I think I would be a little bit more sold on it, right? It's just important to keep that in mind. Ask yourself, when I look at the ingredients, do these ingredients benefit from being smaller, and do they need help getting into the skin? Issue number 3 with the droplet is the supposed research and testing, which is the biggest issue for me, is just because I always look at evidence and it's lacking here. If there's more research that comes out, I will be the first one to reassess that and see if my stance changes, and if it does, I will buy it and I will test it. The science is always evolving, and just because there's not research now that I find compelling doesn't mean that couldn't change, right? They tell you that they've done some testing and the droplet increases hydration by 80%. This is really important to keep in mind when we look at their clinical trial. Their clinical trial is already not very helpful because basically they take before and after pictures and they have a dermatologist look at them. And the issue with that is that when you have even a dermatologist just visually looking at pictures, that's not telling us what's occurring actually in the skin itself. And when you increase the hydration, these issues have been raised with other studies. With research on peptides and growth factors, the issue that's been raised is if these ingredients are hydrating the skin, it can make the skin look thicker, plumper, it can kind of plump out fine lines and wrinkles, and but these effects are temporary. So if the droplet is hydrating the skin, then that could actually be responsible for these supposed improvements. I did appreciate that they compared the capsules in the droplet versus just using them topically. I did appreciate that, but I did not see any mention though of a control group. And again, looking at pictures is not an accurate way of analyzing the results of the trial. That is not conclusive or compelling evidence in my book. The other thing is that someone had asked me in the group, I don't know if this is from the brand or not, but they had asked if the droplet actually got ingredients into the skin deeper than cosmetic needling. And I'm assuming this is based on a claim from the website where they say that the droplet gets ingredients 20 cell layers deep. The stratum corneum is anywhere from 15 to 30 cell layers deep typically. It can vary depending on your skin, how often you exfoliate, where on the body you're looking at. Depending on where you're using it and the person involved, 20 cell layers deep could not even be really past the stratum corneum or just not that far past, right? Where we know that cosmetic needling does get into the living epidermis, and especially with the Dr. Pens, which infamously get deeper than we'd like, could even get into the dermis. So I don't think evidence-wise we have any reason to believe that the droplet goes deeper than cosmetic needling. And I would just also say that, of course, cosmetic needling has much more benefits than the droplet. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there just so I don't get too ranty, because that's not the goal. Again, it is a pet peeve of mine when brands kind of assume that you will look at this supposed data that they're presenting you and you'll think, wow, this technology is so advanced and they've done all this testing, where when you kind of take all the fluff away, it's not very compelling. Again, though, I will reassess if they come out with more research. I hope they do. And if you have the budget and you're kind of a skincare junkie and you want to, drop your money on something knowing that it may just be hydrating, cool, go for it. And if you do, please let me know in the comments or in the Facebook group your thoughts. I would love to hear from you. If you maybe already own the Droplette, I would love to hear your experience so far. Next up is the Timemaster Pro. This one has been kind of hyped up for a while. It is a handheld device, kind of like the Leaf and other various cheaper dupes on the market. What's kind of different about the Timemaster Pro is it uses low intensity ultrasound versus the high intensity or the HIFU that we see in office treatments like therapy. And the benefit to this is that you don't get the pain and discomfort. It's supposed to supposedly be anti-aging and stimulate collagen formation without all that. The issue though is there's no research at all to support that. The current research that I was able to dig up on low intensity ultrasound is that it helps product penetration and that it may be wound healing, but I believe the study was done on rats or something. So not really research, not very compelling. There is LED, but in a small handheld device like that, the LED is not going to be doing very much. Someone said that some of the newer models may have EMS, which is helpful for product penetration, but again, no research indicating that EMS does anything other than help the penetration of your skincare products. So the question becomes, do I want to spend $700 on a device that just helps drive in my products when there's other more affordable alternatives? And I would say if you have the budget and you want to splurge on it, again, totally cool, like with the Droplette, I would just say make sure that you have your more proven devices down first. Something like the Nua first, or microneedling or peels, and make sure that you have something really proven before you're kind of branching out and kind of splurging on things that are unproven. That's all I'll say on the Timemaster. I know a lot of people, including friends of mine, who love it. I'm sure it helps with product penetration. A lot of people comment that it's very plumping, so if you love it, awesome. It's just very expensive for something that does not have any research behind the low intensity ultrasound. That's my only beef with it. Next up is the Nebulyft, and it kind of leads me to talk about the topic of bias because I am obviously a Nua affiliate. And if I'm an affiliate to any kind of brand and device that's similar to anything that I talk about in this video, I will be sure to disclose it because I do think it's really important. I think that if you are sent something for free, you are not going to be as critical as if you had spent your hard-earned money on it, for one. And two, if you know if there's a code waiting for you, if you like that product and you recommend it, then I do think that there is a financial incentive to like that device, even subconsciously, right? So I am a Nua affiliate. I think it's important to disclose that. I will say though that I purchased the Nua with my own money after wanting it for a very long time. I tested it and loved it and recommended it for a long time before I ever spoke to the brand or worked with them. And I think that that's important to kind of mention. That is my approach 9 times out of 10. I really prefer to buy something myself and have that consumer experience first. That tells me, the shipping time, my interaction with a brand as a regular customer, not an influencer, even though I'm really small still, of course. And that way I can test the product without any subconscious bias, right? So that's my approach almost always, unless maybe I've worked with the brand before. But aside from that, I really like to get that consumer experience, test it, and then almost always my affiliate relationships kind of occur organically where, I bought it myself as a customer, I tested it, I started doing content and recommending it. The brand kind of saw my approach and how I handle things and reached out to me. And I think that letting those affiliate relationships kind of occur organically like that is the best way for me personally, and it's the way that I kind of try to avoid as much bias as possible. So, I think it's important to talk about the subject of bias because, with a lot of these devices, there are people who are promoting them, and it doesn't mean that they, are full of crap and these devices are garbage and they're just pushing them to make money. No, of course not. But there is bias there. So just know that I will be disclosing any potential bias or affiliate relationship if applicable, but also just know that I test things as a customer and pay for it myself and recommend things almost always before any affiliate relationship as well. So back to the Nebulyft. I do love the Nua, but if there was a device where I felt like a device came out and it could potentially do the same thing as the Nua for less, I would absolutely go out and buy it and test it. or if I felt like the technology was more promising. But I have yet to really find anything like that. With the Nebulyft, it's like $600 or something. I think they've dropped the price a little bit, but it costs a lot more than a device that I already love. And it has this new like micro RF technology, but there's no real research that I could find. My kind of thing is if you've got a new technology that differs from the existing technology on the market and what's been researched, then you should back that up with research. And there supposedly is a clinical trial behind Nebulyft. I could not find it or any other research. And they've also don't provide a lot of information on the specs. So because of that, I haven't felt comfortable testing it or recommending it to you guys. I've covered this in other videos, but when it comes to radio frequency, the specs are very important. You need to heat the skin to the correct temperature to get results. You need to get into the dermis. You need to get deep enough while keeping the surface of the skin cool in order to see results. And you also have to make sure that you don't go too deep. If you get into the subcutaneous tissue, you could, you could end up with unwanted fat loss in the face, which of course we don't want, right? So the specs are super important, and they haven't been very transparent in that regard as well. So currently, I think the Nebulyft is a pass for me. You know, maybe if they release more research and they share more on their specs, I may change my mind. Last thing I'm going to cover is microcurrent. And when it comes to microcurrent, this is something where there's not a lot of research. So because of that, it kind of becomes about your personal approach to microcurrent and kind of your viewpoint and your opinion, right? There isn't a wrong answer here just because there isn't a lot of research. The evidence and the science is important to me. So I tend to have a very traditional approach to microcurrent. I've taken the training from Dr. Ventura. His approach is based on the original principles on microcurrent from Dr. Thomas Wing. So I'm very traditional in my approach, and I believe in the GTO technique, or the true microcurrent technique. It's really focused on the anatomy, right? So that's my approach, and because of that, I recommend the Microcurrent Mini. I'm not an affiliate, no relationship with the brand, but I really feel like that the specs on the device and the frequency is in line with the original research, and principles behind microcurrent at a consumer price point. A lot of microcurrent devices there that kind of have those specs tend to be like at professional prices, and they're these larger machines. So I really like the Mini. However, I also totally understand if you are on the go, you don't have the time to kind of deal with the learning curve involved with the Mini, which is learning anatomy and action. Microcurrent Mini might not be for you, and you may prefer a handheld. There's a lot of very hyped and well-loved devices in the market, like the Foreo Bear, the Pico Toner, the Clairblend Mini, the New Face, etc. There's also the New Truth Treatments one, though I haven't seen a lot on the specs yet. So if that's the case for you, that's totally okay. I would rather someone had a Clairblend Mini that they used and loved every day versus like a Microcurrent Mini that sat on the shelf because they didn't know how to use it, right? And I will be doing more content, by the way, on microcurrent and the Microlift for sure. So I would keep that in mind. I will say in regards to the Pico Toner, again, same thing with the Nebulyft, you guys. When you have a new technology, I want to see the research on it. And the Pico Toner is dynamic microcurrent, which actually means that it's not just microcurrent. They've added galvanic and EMS in there, and there's just no research that this blend is effective. So that's why personally, I guess someone who really sticks to the fundamentals on microcurrent and kind of the original research, it's not for me. That's all I have to say about it. I think microcurrent, when there's a topic, again, when there isn't conclusive research, it's not up to me to say what's right or wrong. It's kind of just what works for you personally. And of course, not that I would say anyone was wrong anyway, even if there's research. But I hope you guys understand what I'm getting at here, basically. I have like no light left, and the background is crazy. So I am going to wrap up this video. We covered Droplette, we covered the Timemaster, we covered the radio frequency, microcurrent. I know a few of you guys were asking about other radio frequency devices like the Melee and the tripolar. Again, when it comes to those, I would just want them to compete with the NUA. I would want them to heat the skin as hot and work as deeply as the NUA, and also have 40+ clinical studies, because there is an issue of safety when it comes to radio frequency. The Melee is a private labeled device with no data on it, so I do not feel comfortable using that on my face, where the tripolar just does not get hot enough in my book. That's just kind of where I'm coming from on those. But anyway, I mean, there's so many devices that we could cover. We could even get into skincare, you guys, and skincare launches and ingredients. So if you would like that, comment down below. And also, guys, please comment below what your overhyped devices are, as well as kind of your thoughts on the devices that we covered in this video. Anyway, I hope that was fun and hopefully informative. And as always, do with this information what you will. If you disagree, totally cool. Hopefully at least it was fun. I had fun kind of talking about these launches. You know, again, I'm passionate about devices. I'm always interested in new launches, even if I did decide that they're not for me. I will see you guys in the next video, and in the meantime, feel free to chat with me in the comments and to join the Facebook group and chat with me there. Bye guys, have a wonderful rest of your day or night, wherever you are.